A California advisor for the new required ethnic studies class says teachers should not show parents what they are doing in the classroom. So California schools are going to show your kids things that they wouldn't dare show you? Is it just me, or does that make all of us complete idiots for sending kids to public schools? I'm Dr. Duke, she's Katie, and again, we're idiots for sending kids to public schools. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Dr. Duke Show, the only program that keeps you educated on the craziness impacting K-12 classrooms and college campuses via the globe. Today, we start in California, where teachers in Santa Clara are being told to hide their anti-white, anti-American, anti-Christian lessons from parents because why not? That's what we do in public schools now. So, we've reached the point now. I said earlier in the week, is it possible that the public schools just aren't all that into you, Mom and Dad? Because they don't really care what you think. Just keep paying your property taxes. That's all they care about in the schools. And then we're going to see now a very, very pathetic example of a teacher squeaking and gibbering about how she doesn't want to hear from parents, that parents have no business telling her what she should and shouldn't do as an educator. So these are the topics we will cover today. We begin, however, with an ethnic studies advisor who says, don't show parents what we're doing in the classroom.
And of course, this is coming out because of the great Christopher Rufo, who's a City Journal reporter, and he's gone on a mission, basically.
We need to slip a Rufo in every public school parent's drink. You need to be Rufoed, Mom and Dad.
Promise?
You need to be Rufoed into getting out of those public schools.
Maxine Waters, calm down over there. Now, Christopher Rufo, he's been basically uncovering and laying out on Twitter what is happening in these schools, whistleblower type status. And he always starts with the great scoop. It's Santa Clara County Office of Education denounces the United States as a parasitic system based on the invasion of white male settlers and encourages teachers to cash in on kids' inherent empathy in order to recruit them into political activism. And then he always goes on and has a Twitter thread saying, here's the rest of the story, and we'll get to that.
I'm sorry.
But just starting with that.
Yeah, I go back to the slide. Can I go a little Bill Burr on us?
Bill Burr.
Go back to the slide. Wait a second. What do you mean white male settlers? Hey, when did white women swing their Gucci-booted feet over the fence of oppression? I got news for you. When all those white male settlers were settling places like California, the white women were right there with them, making gold chains out of all the gold they had to pan out of the river. How do white women become exempt? How is this about white male settlers? The white women were doing, the men were at least working for the gold. All the white women settlers did was spend it.
So if you would like to just tag Bill Burr in that little rendition, we'll see what his opinion is on that.
So we need to do that. We need to get officially Bill Burr's response to that little observation.
Dr. Duke is a fanboy of the Bill Burr.
I kind of am.
A little bit.
Because he's managed to tell off the left at every turn what he thinks about them and has not been canceled yet. So you go, ginger brother. My bald ginger brother. You go ahead.
Solidarity. Now, Christopher Rufo, we're going to get back to this story. Christopher Rufo talked about basically what the teacher training is that was happening in Santa Clara County. And he says last year, Santa Clara County held a teacher training on how to deploy ethnic studies in schools. The leaders began the presentation with a land acknowledgement claiming that the public schools occupy the unceded territory of the Muwekma Ohlone Nation, and apologize if I pronounced that wrong. It was not intentional.
And you know why you've never heard of them? Because they had conquered and were conquered by so many other tribes that nobody pays any attention.
Well, and here in Wisconsin, we have many a tribe, and they were out there in California, not here in Wisconsin, so I'd never heard of them. Sorry.
Well, I'm not blaming you for mispronouncing it.
Oh, no,
the point is that these land acknowledges are ridiculous. If you want to be acknowledged at land properly, go all the way back to the Bering Land Bridge, right? And you start going back to, was displaced by them, this land was taken away from the Spanish by the white settlers, and the Spanish took it away from this tribe, who took it away from that tribe, who took it away from this tribe, who took it away from that tribe, all the way back to the Bering Land Bridge. Unless you're doing that, you're prejudicing against certain minority groups. Some indigenous peoples you have left out.
Yeah, and as Rufo continued about basically the presenters claiming how, it's a system of oppression and it's based on the invasion of the white male settlers.
White male settlers.
Yep, all of that, which we already said. And it exists as long as settlers are living on the appropriated land. White males brought white supremacy, patriarchy, classism, genocide, private property, and God.
Well, excuse me.
Whoa! They brought all of that.
Well, modern African Americans now are living on that same land.
So
modern African Americans who weren't settlers, they're still living on that land. Modern Hispanics.
And if we want to take this to
who stole the land before your white people did.
Let's take it to a global level.
That's right.
We're going to have a lot of shifting going on here.
Let's just... Why the double standards? Why hold American culture to the parasitic norm and excuse all the other parasites out there? How about that? How about we treat parasites all alike?
Can't we all just parasite together?
Can't we just all suck the blood of our hosts together and be happy about it?
But here's the part that really gets ya, I guess. Jorge Pacheco?
Hold on. All right, so you got a Hispanic person who's explaining this, right?
Yes.
Again, I remind you that the person that had owned California, the people who owned California before the white settlers were Hispanic people who stole it from Indians. Okay? Can I just throw that out there?
Yes, you can.
So you got a Hispanic person explaining.
Oh, Hisplaining. I was like, where are you going?
Hisplaining, right? Latin explaining. There it is. Latin explaining. He's Latin explaining about what white people did, not paying any attention to that conquistador blood flowing through that beautiful caramel skin as he does so.
Well, anyway, he's an advisor for the state ethnic studies curriculum.
Yes, he is.
And he said that teachers must awaken students to the oppression. They must awaken students to the oppression and lead them to decodify and eventually dismantle the dominant political structures which enable white people to exploit people of color.
So we did a show a couple months ago that did gangbusters about how in these stupid, exactly same ethnic studies courses, they're going to be chanting to the Aztec gods.
Oh, yeah.
Right? They're going to chant and wake up the Aztec gods. Aztec gods who were murdered, by the way, by Christianity. Their gods were murdered. And so can we point out the tens of hundreds of thousands of people, indigenous people, BIPOC people who were murdered by the Aztecs? Can we talk about that too? Can we go back down to Machu Picchu? That's the wrong empire. Can we go back down to your big temples there in Aztec land? Can we do that and point out how the Aztecs weren't indigenous? They conquered to get their power and their empire. Can we talk about that? Or is it only limited to white male settlers?
So Christopher Rufo, he said, the way he said it, is that teachers must be careful, though, because Pacheco and the other panelists suggested that local educators hide this revolutionary pedagogy from administrators and families.
And administrators.
Wait, what? They're hiding it from everybody?
Yep.
So who are they sharing it with?
So literally, they want, and this is the right use of the word literally, they want a curriculum that is so radical, not only can you share it with your moms and dads who get furious, but don't even let your supervisors know, because then they would have to try to explain what you're doing, and we don't want to have to make them do that.
And this isn't Rufo just putting words into their mouth. The panelists said it point blank. One of the panelists said district guidelines and expectations are barriers. They're barriers now.
Guidelines.
And we have to be extra careful about what is being said, since we can't just say something controversial now that we're in people's homes because of remote learning.
So mom and dad, we're already over on this segment, but let me simply point this out. They're telling you right now that they want their teachers to get even more radical than the curriculum calls for. They don't want to know what the teachers are saying. They don't want you to know what the teachers are saying. And on top of all of that, it is not your job, parents, to know. And so you're sending your kids back. Why exactly?
Color me shocked. Shocked, I say, that another teacher has been caught red-handed. Get how I did color in red? Look at me. Anyway, color me shocked that another teacher was caught red-handed on a Zoom call, ranting and raving. Well, not raving, but just ranting about basically parents, and it's a teacher saying that parents should just, mind their own business. And so here's what happened. It was in California. Again, shocked. It was by a Karen.
Karen.
That's not her name, but she's a Karen. And yeah, her name is Alyssa Pirro. Fine. But she's also an English teacher. So here, I mean, those are all the credentials right there to make you a raving lunatic. Now, Alyssa Pirro, an English teacher at San Marcos High School in Southern California, she was caught on video basically telling the parents of her students to come at me. Her words, not mine. To come at me if they had any concern.
Don't tase me, bro.
With her teaching lessons.
Don't tase me, bro.
So the situations, she's done this multiple times. So these are separate calls. One of the calls, though, was her raving about how the parents need to come at her. Let's just watch her words.
Your parent wants to talk to me about their profession and their opinion on their profession. I would love to hear that. I know very little about anything else in the world other than education, okay? However, if your parent wants to come talk to me about how I'm not doing a good enough job in distance learning based on what you need as an individual, just dare them to come at me. Because I'm so sick to my stomach of parents trying to tell educators how to do their job.
Yeah, and this is the revolution, right? I have a 4-year degree from a local school in education. You can't tell me what to do, as you and I have experienced so many times, Katie. If you don't tell a 4-year teacher degree, what a 4-year young student with a 4-year teaching degree, if you don't hold their hand and tell them what to do, they're not going to know.
Well, they don't know anything.
They don't know anything.
As she said, should have said period, but she doesn't know anything outside of education. What do you know inside education? And what does that even mean to know education?
I think what it means is that she's talking about ed theory, which we talked about earlier in the week. She knows all of that politically correct buzzword nonsense. Do you get the impression this is a woman who's teaching English at a high level?
That's the
who's
English
focusing
literature.
on literacy and cultural literature? No. What is she doing? Sitting back there. And this is what happens with the Zoom. If it weren't for the Zoom and the distance learning, she does, I guarantee you she says things like this 10 times a quarter. Because you don't just once say it. This is not just one lapse of judgment. She is so comfortable with no accountability for what she does and says that this is the kind of stuff that she says routinely. But because it happens in the classroom, by the time 4 other hours of classes roll by and they get home on the school bus, they've forgotten it themselves.
But hey, we got lucky because we do have a second incident.
Yes, we do.
So we already have 2 incidents on the Zoom. So I can only imagine what would have happened in the brick and mortar school.
Now this is the not made up and prettified. What's that picture? Go back to the very first picture. Now there's Alyssa during her farmersonly.com wanna marry a ranger picture, and there she is now. Right, this is how she teaches her Zoom class, right? Not like the last picture where she's got a maker on. She's literally rolled out of bed. You could probably smell the stale Fritos under the sheets even as she speaks. Here she is talking to a young white male student, and you and I both know this ain't gonna end well.
My question is, in this case, where is the white student union? Because we need all races equality.
You don't need a white student union, Jake. You get everything.
Okay, so let's talk about what just happened there. So this is a student named Jace. And Jace, he didn't want to interrupt class because he went on Fox News and explained kind of what happened. He didn't want to interrupt class, so he had typed in the comment section. They were having a whole discussion about how the school had announced that they're going to have an Asian student union, like the formation of an Asian student union. So Jace commented then, why do some races get student unions but others do not? And then that's how she responded.
It's a great point.
Crazy lady.
Unions are organized institutions that have contact with and get money from the school. Right? When you say to Jace, you've got everything, Jace, that's not exactly true. Jace may be white, and therefore you might deem him to have all these wonderful privileges, but every time he invokes his privilege and types something in the chat box below, you go off on him for being white.
And how dare that, Jace? You could actually hear him say, we should have a student union for all races or no races for true equality. How dare he use logic?
You get everything, Jace. And I'm going to go back to my Bill Burr, not the impersonation, but I'm going to go back to my Bill Burr. I'm going to go back to my Bill Burr observation. She's a white woman. Why is she excused from all this privilege? She's been riding side saddle with every white settler in town on a Friday night. You saw her farmersonly.com. She was riding side saddle with all the cowpokes in California, getting all the same privilege. So now that because she's white and has those really annoying Karen oversized glasses,
true.
now she can morally lecture him for his white privilege.
So Jace actually said that at one point, Pirro paused her lesson. She had to pause the lesson so that she could, shoo. And then she yelled, GD, it, at later on, and called Jace a moron. You called your student a moron. So Jace's dad heard this, heard about it, and called,
actually asked her for the hoedown on Saturday night. Asked her for a date, right?
Why would he want? No.
To the hoedown.
Jace's dad contacted the assistant principal, Kelly Brown, and basically the dad described the teacher as being unhinged because you make your own opinion, but I think she's rather unhinged. Now, at least 3 other parents had contacted the school because they too saw
her unhinged
level.
And you'd love to see the door that she was once hinged to.
And now Jace was granted permission to skip her class for 5 whole days. And then before he returned, Jace and his father actually sat down with unhinged lady.
Can you imagine that meeting?
And Principal Adam Dawson for a restorative meeting, as it was called. And apparently she did apologize. Maybe she rehinged herself, we're not sure. But despite this, Jace's dad was surprised to find that his son's grade in her class had dropped weeks later. You could be like, well, that has nothing to do with anything except for the fact that Jace was getting straight A's in school. If you're a nerd like me, if you don't get straight A, if you're a straight A student and all of a sudden you slip a little bit, even to the A- status, it's alarm. Like, Jace shouldn't have gotten slipped down to a B in that class. But then it was computer error, according to Pirro. She said, and so now it was corrected. Again, my creepy wink.
FarmersOnly.com teacher decided, you get everything, Jace, but you ain't getting an A off of me.
How dare you? Just how dare you? How dare you? And how dare you? Greta Thunberg is now going to be in a statue in the UK. It's going to cost, or it did cost, what equates to $32,000 here in the US of A. But in the UK, they're not that happy. Look at that. I mean, Greta Thunberg. If you don't know who Greta Thunberg is, okay?
I don't call her Greta Thunberg. I call her Prozac Heidi.
Prozac Heidi. She's the climate activist, and she's the one who sailed the
one who's got her brow continually furrowed.
Well, she's an adult now, but as a teenager, when she was 15, 14, 16, whatever, when she first started to skip school on Fridays, and that's cool because she was an activist doing it in the name of climate change, every Friday she skipped school to go out and solve the world's problems
and
of
be
climate.
lectured to by climate activists who used her like a ventriloquist puppet.
And she's the one who did "How dare you!" And if you haven't seen any of those videos, visit the Healthy Republic.
And we know,
my show,
and by the way, we
my
know
talk.
why she had the furrowed brow, because somebody had to put a hand up and under to make the mouth work, right?
Yes,
but
she's an adult now.
Ventriloquize all of this left-wing politically climate change talking points. So she literally had somebody Kermit the Frogging her under the table.
Yes, but now she's an adult, and
Prozac Heidi,
and she's making her way to Winchester University, and that's where that statue is. It's a bronze statue of her. I'm not sure if bronze is approved.
She's going to the university that made the statue.
Like she's so this her statue's there.
This statue is for Winchester University.
If she made her way there, she'd have to. I don't know how she would get there because she couldn't sail by the ocean. Nope. That's her preferred method of. Mode of transportation. But anyway, it's costing, again, more than $32,000. And the university, by the way, has laid off 1/10 of its staff and has made cuts to their library services.
Yep.
But they made this statue because that's what they're doing. And now what's cool is students are finally waking up to this and calling BS. And the Student Union and University College Union have come out against it. The student union put out a statement saying there is a crippling mental health crisis among students and well-being services are crying out for additional support. In our view, the unveiling of this statue next week, which has happened, shows that these issues are not their priorities. Fact check, true.
Prozac Heidi is a white woman. Again, Bill Burr asks the question, right? Why are you suddenly immune from your own evilness? Number 2, she comes from the feminist paradise of Sweden. Number 2, Sweden. So why are we giving her a statue of anything? If we're going to pull down statues of oppressors, somebody needs to Black Lives Matter the statue. Here's the thing. Somebody pulls that statue down and just decapitates it and spray paints
it's bronze, man. I'd be impressed.
Spray paints the wall.
There you go.
They will be punished to the fullest extent of the law. I bet you they will.
According to the unions, they think this was a vanity project for their outgoing Vice Chancellor, Joy Carter, who was basically prepping to step down just after unveiling, after being at the university, like the unveiling of the statue, after being at the university for 15 years. So it's like her swan song, I guess, swan statue. Bronze swan statue. The project, though, was actually commissioned back in 2019, and it was supposed to, quote, be an inspiration for all the students. As Carter had said, Joy Carter, the statue is a symbol of our commitment to take transformative action to combat the climate emergency. We hope this statue will be an inspiration for future generations to stand with Greta, take inspiration from her life-saving message, and urgently make a difference in the world.
So you spent £32,000.
No, it's $32,000 US dollars.
dollars.
We did the conversion.
Even more pounds.
Yes.
Or fewer pounds.
It's pretty close.
Yeah. All right. So you spent all that money to get an artist boil bronze, right? To use all that fossil fuel to heat up the bronze, to sculpt, all that wasted resources. You spent all that money and all those wasted resources for a statue that now is not biodegradable. And you think that's the way to honor climate change?
Throw it in the ocean.
Way to go, Joy. Way to go. As you know, at the end of every show, we do an instant classic as a way of getting you some real education to get away from all of the nonsense we've had to talk about for the previous 20 minutes. And today is no different. This is Gulliver's Travels Week, the great Jonathan Swift, a book nobody reads anymore, not in college and certainly not in schools when they're busy reading about transgenderism all the time. It's too bad because Jonathan Swift's great travel novel is all about perspective. Maybe if the radical left had some of this perspective, if they actually traveled around the world and saw how many cultures are built on slavery, how many cultures have been built on stolen land, you wouldn't be so quick to damn America uniquely. Travel, Jonathan Swift believed, opened your mind and showed you. People may be different, people may be from different far-flung corners of the world, but at heart, human nature is what it is, and very often it's fallen and weak. According to Jonathan Swift, after seeing the world, this is what the best he could say about human nature. We human beings are, quote, a sort of animal to whose share some small pittance of reason had fallen, whereof we made no other use than to aggravate our natural corruptions and to use that reason to acquire new corruptions, which nature had not given us. That we disarmed ourselves of the few abilities nature had bestowed upon us, had been very successful in multiplying our wants, and seemed to spend our whole lives in vain endeavors to supply them by our own inventions. The reason God gave us, we have used to become infinitely more unreasonable, and irrational. This is the sum total of all of this genuine multicultural knowledge.
Just a quick reminder that Freedom Project Academy's live online K-12 school is now enrolling students for the fall. FPA has served thousands of students for more than a decade without pushing Common Core or critical race theory on them. Request your free information packet at freedomforschool.com. That's freedomforschool.com. All right, if you're a fan of the show, please consider a one-time tax-deductible donation to support our Patriot Club, and we're going to send you our signature red tumbler as a little thank you. Visit patriotclub.us to get signed up. That's patriotclub.us.
And that's going to do it for today's show. For Freedom Project, I'm Dr. Duke. She is Katie. Until next time, stay educated, my friends.